Hey, and welcome to the show and welcome to Sunday. I'm glad that you're with me here, and just want to say that I am going to be leaving for a week, spring break, heading down to California. So I just want to let everybody know that next week, next Sunday, I won't be here because I'm going to be enjoying some time away and hopefully some sunny weather. And I was watching the weather down in California. They're expecting a storm this week, so I'm not exactly thrilled about that. I added to the collection of cars. Somebody was noticing my collection of die-cast cars here. This beautiful old Formula One car from a long time ago. Another LM car, another old Formula One car. So anybody know what that is? You can type in the chat box and see if you know what that is. That's old school. If you know what that is, that's old school. So we're going to get to your questions and answers in just a moment. Big news. I've been teasing it here on the live show for quite a few weeks. And here it is. The Porsche Cayenne has arrived. I have been mentioning that going to be moving on from the Audi A7. Great car, TDI diesel engine. And those that watch me regularly know that I absolutely love diesels. This has been a wonderful car. Had it for almost 3.5 years, maybe, yeah, 3.5 years. It's only got 27,000 kilometers on it, so it's a real baby, and that one's going to be up for sale. And more on that in a moment, cars for sale. So yeah, got the Cayenne. Now there is a bit of a story to this. Here we go. So, you know I love Porsches, you know I love the Cayenne, and you know I love diesel. However, with the Dieselgate situation, with all of the Volkswagen group, including Volkswagen, Audi, my car, and Porsche, the cars were not allowed to be sold since basically the 2 liters is September of 2015. And then in October, just a few weeks later, they stopped the sale of the 3-liter TDI engines. So what that did was mean that there was no diesels in the marketplace for a long, long time. And now the settlement with the diesels for the 3 liters for this car and this car hasn't even been officially stamped by the courts. That's happening, I think it's the 4th of April, so just a few weeks away. They're going to make the settlement, and the last case in North America is the Canadian 3-liter diesels. So it's finally coming to an end. Now, these vehicles have been approved for a fix, and because of that, the cars that have been sitting at dealers are now able to be sold. So this car, this 2016 Cayenne diesel, I was on the local MCL Porsche dealer, our Vancouver Porsche Center here, for about 1.5 years. And I want to say thank you to Lewis for helping me secure this car. They have a big impound lot, not far from where I live actually. And I went down there and I looked at every single one, and they had about 12 Cayennes, and I picked the one that had the features that I wanted. So white might not have been my first choice, but this car is really nicely equipped to my tastes with all the features that I'm looking for. But most importantly, it's the very last diesel Cayennes that are being sold. So if you're somebody that's interested in getting a new old stock, so this car is brand new, has never been registered, and has been sitting really for 2 years. They take it and wash it once in a while and drive it around occasionally. So it's got like 100 kilometers on it. But I just got it on Friday, and these cars are now being sold. So if you're interested in getting a Touareg or a Cayenne, or maybe some of the 3-liter Audi cars like the Q5, the A7, the A8. These cars are now being sold to the public. So check with your dealer, see if they have any new old stock, and there are discounts on the cars as well. So very happy. So this is the new arrival, and the A7 is going to be going. So, so that's what's going on there. So let's get into the chat box, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this car and how I'm going to sell it and what I'm doing. So here we go. Roy Park says hello. Roy's a regular here. Thank you so much. David Cloud is on board. New Droid EXP. Roy Park says he's jealous, I guess, about that car. Justin Chung says hello. Roy's asking, where am I going in California? Going to LA for a few days, and then have a car actually from Ford and driving from LA up to Palm Springs and then back home. Not a long break this year because we're going to Europe in the summer. So I'm going to keep my powder dry, if you know what I mean. Justin Chung says, Fittipaldi's McLaren, well spotted. Fatir says, hey Zach, congrats on the new Cayenne. Any reason you didn't wait for the new one? No diesel. That's the number one reason. If you watch the channel and you go and watch the review, I did drive the new Cayenne, the new 2019. That's going to be coming this fall. It's been delayed. They were hoping to get it sooner than that. But wonderful, wonderful product. Don't get me wrong. It is absolutely beautiful. However, a diesel is not going to be coming back from the Volkswagen Group. I really don't believe that. So this is the last chance to get a diesel, and a brand new one. And after they're gone in the next few weeks, they're all going to be gone. So a brand new diesel Cayenne, even though it's old stock, is something that I'm really excited about. If, however, Volkswagen changed their mind and they start to introduce diesels, especially in larger vehicles like the Audi Q7, that's another product that if you're interested in, might be some diesels sticking around that are sitting on dealers' lots. That would benefit you know, the Atlas maybe in the future, the Cayenne and other larger vehicles would benefit certainly from a 3-liter diesel. I also want to say thanks to Stuart at MCL Porsche, or Porsche Center Vancouver, for helping with this car as well. Ajit says, Mercedes GLC 300 versus Audi A5. Long-term use with low maintenance, which one would you recommend? Well, it's funny because they're both excellent products, and you know what I talk about. So the GLC is the compact utility for Mercedes-Benz, and it's right on my top of my list along with the new Q5. So the Q5 and the GLC are my 1 and 2 picks, and not in any particular order, for compact utilities in that premium space. And the A5 is based on the exact same platform as the Q5 with the same engine, 252 horsepower. So a lot of similarities there. I really don't have a preference one over the other. I suggest you go and drive them both. I would suspect the reliability and repair record is going to be pretty close. So, you know, I'm always a big fan of having cars under warranty, especially German cars, but drive them both. They're both great. I don't have an issue with either. Saeed says, hey Zach, we're a couple in our 30s. What would you suggest between a Subaru Crosstrek, Mazda CX-3, and Honda HR-V in the ice or wintry roads? Too much potholes in the streets of Montreal. Hello, yeah. Montreal, you want to test a car suspension, you go to Montreal. Okay, I like the fact that Saeed has given me some background. So if you're going to type something and you're asking me a question, give me a little background like this. It's good to know. CX-3 is too small, okay? I just think it's an empty nester's car, so you're in your 30s. Are you planning on having a family anytime soon? If you're not, consider it. If you are, no way. The Crosstrek is, I think, between the Honda HR-V and the Crosstrek. I think the Crosstrek would be the way that I would go. It's got greater ground clearance, which is one thing, especially in Montreal if you get into a big snowfall overnight. I would say the Crosstrek of those three. Orlando says, hey Zach, thank you for sharing all your knowledge with us. I just bought a 2015 Jetta TDI. Any particular thoughts on the car? No, enjoy it. You're going to like it. See, the very last few years of the Volkswagen Golf and Jetta had the AdBlue, or the exhaust treatment system, on board, and they were much easier to bring up to the clean spec before they were able to be sold. So that car is the same thing. The 2015 Jetta TDI, the very end of the run. There are going to be no more out there. So if you like the idea of the torque, the fuel efficiency, and the longevity of a diesel engine, drive it and enjoy it. If it ever starts to become problematic, then that's the chance to dump it. But the good thing is, with these diesels that are for sale, much longer warranty for many of the components like turbochargers and things like that could go wrong. Roy asks again, do you subscribe to any car magazines? I signed up for Motor Trend. It's taking forever to get the first one. I don't read a lot of car magazines, and I'll tell you why. I don't like to be influenced with my opinion and when I read somebody else's. The only time I ever read somebody else's review of a car is after I've already done it. Like at an airport or something, I'll see a car magazine there and I'll thumb through and I'll see, oh, that's a car I drove, and see if they came to a similar conclusion. I don't watch really any other videos. I don't really watch anybody else's opinion on cars. I have my own, and I hope that's why you watch. I don't want to just regurgitate what other people have said. And, you know, I hate to say it, but you can see common threads out there from some people who review cars not only in print but online and in video. They're just regurgitating what everybody else says instead of coming up with their own ideas. Best value 7-seater SUV. That's from Ali. Now, Ali, I want you to write back because I don't know what size you're talking about. A compact 7-seater, so you got the Tiguan, the Rogue, and the Outlander. If you're looking for a midsize, then you're into the Pilot, the Highlander, and so on. So please specify. What are your thoughts on the new red light cameras the BC government is implementing to catch speeders? Is it really going to make a difference? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to make a lot of people pissed off, because we had photo radar vans in British Columbia when the NDP government was in power back in the 90s. And all it does is piss people off, to be honest with you. I'm not opposed to red light cameras catching people going through red lights. I think that's a great idea because we have an epidemic of people not paying attention. But to catch speeders, all it is a tax grab. All you need to do is look at the BC, or I call them the Green DP here in British Columbia, because we have a Green NDP coalition government in BC. So the Green DP they're a classic lefty tax and spend government. They're spending money already. They haven't even been in power for a year, and spend, spend, spend. So what do they need to do? Tax, tax, tax. And that's what they're doing with those cameras. Don't get me started on politics. Bosco says, hi Zach, do you know when the Toyota will refresh the Tundra, the 4Runner, and the Highlander? Thinking of getting a truck, and currently one for sale are just too old. Highlander isn't that old. The recent one came out in 2014, and they updated it for 2017 or 18. Anyway, they put a new grille and stuff on it. That's not too bad. I agree with you. The Tundra and the 4Runner are ancient. The 5.6 liter in the Tundra sucks gas. I think the interior is really basic and disappointing, to be honest, considering what some of the higher end versions go for. And the 4Runner is running an old 4 liter V6 with a 5-speed automatic. It's really getting on. And I asked the vice president of Toyota Canada about this at the Detroit Auto Show. So you go back and watch on the channel the Q&A I did with him. And I asked this very question, and they're tight-lipped about it. They do admit they've been concentrating on other things and left some of their trucks on the shelf for too long, but I'm with you. They definitely need to be updated. All right. Hey, Zach, currently own a Maxima. Looking for an upgrade. I'm thinking of a Q50. Also, BMW 3 Series and Mercedes C-Class are in my mind. What are the huge differences if I move into a German car? The Q50 is a nice car. Some people don't like the drive-by, the drive-by wire, the electric steering. That, for some people, is an issue. The head unit in the Q50 can be a little bit laggy. It's a Microsoft system, and when you start the car, the head unit can take a while to load. I know they've done upgrades for that, but still something to look at if you're going to look at one. 3 Series is at the very end of its run, okay? So I wouldn't recommend the 3 Series unless you're deal oriented. If you're looking for a great deal, the 3 Series, there might be some deals out there because it's at the end of its run. And the C-Class, I think, is a fantastic choice. If you're looking at those, also consider the Audi A4. Not the most dynamic looking car, but in my opinion is the best choice. That and the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, those two for premium entry-level sedans. Zach says, can you give some recommendations on a fast diesel? Well, diesels, like this thing is quick. You know, I got to tell you, the first, like it does 0 to 100 in about 7-something seconds. Now that isn't, 911 Turbo S territory, but it's for a big SUV, it's pretty damn good. And when you put your foot into it takes off. So what do you mean by fast? What we don't get in North America, they never brought in were the V8 diesels, right? So we had V8 diesels for the Cayenne and other SUVs in Europe. Never came. The Q5 had that available, but not not really available here in North America. So fast and diesel, not really the case. All right, I just want to tell you, I mentioned that this A7 is going to be sold. And I partnered with a friend of mine that I've known for like almost 20 years now. He has bought and sold, when this car sells, 5 cars with me. And I trust him. He's been a really good ally in my own car shopping. And basically what I'm doing is picking cars with him to introduce to the audience. If you're considering a car, and I get so many questions like I have here on the chat, people looking for information, where can I get a good car, what should I buy? So I've decided to pick some vehicles myself along with my partner to show to you. If you're not interested, that's no harm, no foul. If you are interested, follow up on it. If you know somebody that's interested, and we're doing, to start with, a few Porsches because you know I love the brand. So first of all, I'm going to play you, it's a short video, and then we'll get back to the Q&A, but here's the first car that I want to show you. Now this is exciting. A beautiful 1995 Porsche 993 Cabriolet for your consideration. This is the very end of the Porsche air-cooled era. From the original 911 in the early 60s up until 1998, they produced air-cooled cars, and this is the last era. After that, they're gone. They don't exist anymore. So this is a 1995. It has never been in an accident. It is absolutely stock, except for the wheels that are 18-inch turbo twists. The original 95 had 17-inch wheels. This car has had the front modified to accept 18-inch turbo twists, and I think it looks fabulous. Black over a cashmere interior and a convertible, of course, that's power operated. This car has 53,000 miles, which means it was originally registered in the US and brought into Canada, and it can return to the US hassle-free. The engine has been rebuilt. About $20,000 was spent. It's got a new top end, new valve guides, new piston rings. It is ready to go, and it drives like a dream. So enough talking. Let's get in and find out why these cars, the 993s, are special. Now I mentioned this is the last of the air-cooled 911s, the flat six, a 3.6 liter, and this car has 265 horsepower, and it just drives so nicely. And these cars, if you follow the vintage Porsche market, have skyrocketed in value over the last few years. So this is a car that you could buy and drive for many, many years. And if you ever wanted to get rid of it, not a problem at all. There's a long list of people who would love to have a 993. I've owned 2 of them, and they're amazing cars to own and really quite easy to sell. And what is it about them? Well, it's a nostalgia for the way things used to be. The gauges, you have the 5 gauges in front of you that are really right back to the way they were done in 1964 with the original 911. The dashboard is kind of antiquated but charming. And the sound from the flat 6 engine is something you just can't replicate in a modern Porsche. The steering is so direct, it's just a little go-kart. And having no roof, well, it just makes it great on a day like this. So as I mentioned, this car is a former US car, 53,000 miles, and it's being offered at 76,000 Canadian dollars. And this is just the perfect car for the summer of 2018. Hallelujah. All right, so that is Porsche 993. And regular viewers of this channel and this chat know I own 2 of these cars, and they are wonderful machines to own. So that is a car for your consideration. So if you're interested in it, looking at it, just go to my website, motormouth.ca, and under Zach's Picks, you'll find the link to the car, the pictures, the price, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I get so many questions here on the live chat. I'm looking for this. You know, you're asking me questions. So if we're going to showcase some vehicles that you can consider. If you don't like them, pass them on to your friends and see if they'll like them. There's going to be some different, they're going to be mostly sort of premium or entry-level premium cars. I think we're getting an X1 to showcase soon. My car, the Audi A7, is going to be sold as well. So that's what's going on. So let me know what you think. I'm not trying to pull wool on over anybody's eyes, just going to show you what's out there and you can decide for yourself. All right, if you were to buy a truck, what truck would it be and why? Well, right now, this new Ram is pretty sweet. Like, this thing is amazing. So I encourage you to watch the review that I just put up on the channel on, was it Friday? Or yesterday actually, and it goes through everything that's new about it, better towing capacity. But for me, it's the ride comfort and interior that is just spectacular. So check it out, and I think if it was me right now, it would be Ram for interior. The GMC Sierra I like a lot as well, and Ford would be last, not because of anything other than the fact that I think their interiors are really needing to be upgraded. I am going to test drive the diesel in the F-150, so I'm looking forward to that. And somebody was asking today, when are the GM trucks coming? It's going to be late summer into fall. I'm about to buy a Range Rover Sport 2018. How reliable are they, please? Well, Range Rover, Land Rover and Range Rover have definitely come up in value, in quality scores over the last few years. They're still below average. Now, I want to point something out that's really important. Even though the reliability is not as strong as other brands, like the top of the list would be Lexus and Porsche, Kia, Hyundai, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz is up there as well. Those brands do very well for dependability. However, what Land Rover with the Range Rover line gets is absolute dedication from owners. People who have these vehicles absolutely love them, and many people are willing to put up with any kind of faults with the Range Rover because they love the product so much. And I do work for Canadian Black Book. I do videos for them. You're going to see on their website, CanadianBlackBook.com, shortly, quite a few videos that I have produced for them. And I was doing the premium SUV category. Guess which vehicle has the best retained value after 4 years? Porsche Cayenne. Guess what's number 2? Range Rover. And Range Rover Sport are second and third. So even though Range Rover doesn't score as high as other brands, absolutely loyal fan base. And when people write on the YouTube comments, what a piece of crap, it's going to lose all of its value in 2 years, they don't know what they're talking about. So there you go. Now, I would encourage you to drive the TD6, the 6-liter the 6-cylinder 3-liter diesel. Amazing torque. Give it a shot. You don't have to buy that one, but just try it out. David Cloud said, Rick Byer says, made it. Hey, Rick, thanks for being on board. David Cloud says, hey, Zach, I got a Mustang now, and I'm shopping for something all-wheel drive with some power, 60,000-ish budget. Stinger GT, G80 V8, new Ram 1500, or a used A7. Did you say used A7? There's one that's going to be for sale. Send me an email if you're interested. A very different mix. Stinger GT, that's a cool car. Yeah, all of those are fine choices. The G80 is the oldest sort of, like they have updated it with sort of new updates in the Genesis line, but it still is just the old Hyundai Genesis that's been rebadged. So that one needs to be revamped. The Ram is going to be a lot of fun. Here's the thing, is it could be some good deals out there. They're going to be making the existing Ram alongside the new one. So if you're value oriented and you like the one that's basically on the road now, I bet you there's going to be some good deals. The same way they brought out Pacifica and Grand Caravan in the minivan lineup, they're going to do the same thing with Ram trucks. So number one choice would be that car for sure. So send me a message if you are interested in a used A7. I heard there will be a new RAV4 Forester. Exciting to see them. Any new faces revealed? Okay, so Forester and RAV4 are going to be shown not this week, but the following week at the New York Auto Show. There are rumors RAV4 will be either plug-in electric or full electric, maybe, and Forester is a facelift. It's not an all-new Forester, it's an upgraded Forester. So we have about a week and a half to wait until we see that. Kevin says, the new Honda Civic SE is out. Does that mean we're getting a refresh for 2019? I guess the Corolla will be out. Yes, the new Corolla is going to be coming hopefully this year. We're going to find out what that is. As I mentioned, I spoke to the Vice President of Toyota Canada, and he mentioned their core models are going to be refreshed. So RAV4 we know is coming for New York, and after that I would suspect we're going to see something from Corolla. Now, Civic has only been out for a couple of years, so no, I don't think that Civic is going to be anything other than a mild facelift for that, if at all. PJ McDonald says, love your reviews and the live show. Don't have an Apple or Android phone. who has the best built-in navigation? Ooh, that's tough. Um, you know what? You can send me a direct email on that. Like, tell me what kind of cars you're considering, because some cars have older units and some have newer. You have to tell me, kind of narrow it down what you're looking at. Stefan says, Subaru says they might drop manual transmission in the name of safety. Why an automatic transmission can be safer? I think it's got to do with their eyesight system. So the automatic braking system might be, I'm not sure now. I'm trying to remember if you can get it with a manual transmission. Some brands, like I'm pretty sure Honda with their Honda safety sensing is available with the manual. I'm not sure about the Subaru off the top of my head. That might be why. But the Subaru brand, even with the Forester, they have a manual transmission, and same with the Crosstrek. I don't believe that's the case. Interestingly though, Honda has committed to manual transmissions in their cars. So manual in the Fit, manual in the Civic, manual even in the Accord. No manuals in their utility products because the take rate is so low. But I don't, next time I'm talking to Subaru, I'll ask that question. So somebody just asked about the Forester and the RAV4, so yeah, there you go, a couple weeks to wait. Big Pizza Pie says, hi, Zach from Montreal. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. Appreciate that. David Y, I guess, is writing back about the Subaru question that I recommended for Montreal streets. And yeah, the Crosstrek is a little bit bigger than some of those other compact utilities like the Mazda CX-3 and the Honda HR-V. I think the Crosstrek is a little bit bigger. And the ride height is definitely higher for snowy conditions. All right. See, this is the kind of question I like. Agent Court Lancer, I think that's what I'm supposed to say here. I'm 27, getting married soon. Good information to know. Thinking of getting either a Jetta 2019 or the Hyundai Sport. I want something which is economical, stands out, and fun to drive. Please recommend. Well, if you're not in a rush, and I hope you're not, because you've got your whole life ahead of you, 27, just hold on just a little while longer, because I am going to be test driving the new Jetta in just about 3 weeks' time. I think it's the 10th or the 11th of April. So stand by for that video. So check back here in a little while, and I'll give you more information on that. In the meantime, do yourself a favor and drive the Elantra Sport. I'm not a fan of the hatchback. I like the sedan more, but tune back in. Ushan says, when it comes to after-sales service, are there any brands that stand out? I hear BMW is amazing, or does it simply depend on the dealership? Lexus is one of the best when you look at studies. The premium car brands in Canada seem to do a pretty good job of this, and it really is dealer dependent. And a lot of it, I got to be honest with you, comes down to the personal relationship you have with the people that work at the dealership. If you're somebody that, you know, you've been dealing with them for a while, you've maybe bought 1 or 2 cars from them, they'll go to bat more for you than somebody they don't know. That's pretty common sense. Life is still about relationships. As much as we hear that everything's going to be automated and robots are going to take over the world, the reality is that it's still about relationships. So yes, Lexus definitely is one brand that ranks highly. So Ali was writing back about best value for a mid-size SUV. Best value for mid-size SUV. Tell you what, if you're just looking at price point, and here's another question. I hate to do this to you, Ali. All-wheel drive or front-wheel drive? Because if it's just about price, then you can get front-wheel drive utility vehicles that are going to shave about $3,000 or $4,000 off the price, like the Chevy Equinox, the Traverse. Not the Equinox, sorry, the Chevy Traverse, the GMC Acadia. They start around $34,000, $35,000. Same with the Ford Explorer. Excuse me. When you add in all-wheel drive, all of these products kick up to about $38,000, $39,000, $40,000. So if it's all about price, you can get a front-wheel drive version of those types of vehicles and then just put on a good set of winter tires and you're off to the races. But all of them, all of these brands market their cars almost within dollar for dollar for each other. What do you think of the new 3-year reliability rating from J.D. Powers, I believe? It's a 3-year dependability study, and I reference it all the time. J.D. Power does 2 studies. They do the 90-day initial quality study. You've heard that referenced, I'm sure, in advertising. And then they have the 3-year dependability study. And you can see some trends with brands. And so cars that are initial quality is things like how many trips back to the dealer for small things like Bluetooth, working with the navigation. A lot of it is user interface with the car. So the brands, excuse me, that have a really simple to use interface score higher. And I think one of the reasons why Kia and Hyundai have scored so very high in the last few years, they were very early adapters of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, simplifying the head unit of the car. So plug your phone in, navi's, everything's on the screen. And that, I think, has made it easy for them to move up. And brands that have adopted those 2 features, Apple and Android, in their head units have definitely improved. The 3-year dependability study is more of the mechanical stuff, so I'm a big fan of it. Clarence Taylor says, would you get the VW e-Golf or the Hyundai Ioniq? I just had the Volkswagen e-Golf, and I absolutely thought it was fantastic. The torque is addictive in the city, and I was easily getting the range that Volkswagen claims. So I did 2 roughly 70-kilometer runs, one from downtown Vancouver out to Tawasin, and the other one from downtown Vancouver out to Surrey and back. Each one of them was roughly 70 kilometers round trip, and I got better than 70 kilometers on one, and the other one I got exactly. And the temperature was not, 20 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It was, the heater was on, the seat heater was on, the radio was going. So I think the Volkswagen Golf and the Ioniq are 2 of my favorites, mostly because of the dash in the interior. I think is a step up from the Leaf. Leaf is a fine product, but the Leaf is a little bit small. I was at the launch recently, and I was surprised because it's been a while since I've been in one. The cargo capacity in the back seat is a little bit small, and I think the dash of the Ioniq and the e-Golf are head and shoulders above in terms of refinement and fit and finish. But the e-Golf I absolutely thought was great. Somebody's saying, people, don't forget to like the stream. Show your support for this amazing channel. This is the best channel for us Canadians. Well, I hope you agree with that. The other thing is along the bottom, you see all of the links to, Motormouth Canada on Facebook, on Instagram, and what have you, Twitter as well. So I would love if you'd follow along with that. That would be great as well. Looking for purchasing a Macan for my wife. Compare S and GTS models. Which one would you recommend? Is it necessary to get the GTS? Thank you. If you can afford the GTS and you're looking at the S, I would get the GTS. If it's between the S and the regular and the turbo, I would just get the S. Okay, does that make sense? So the S to the turbo, don't get the turbo, stick with the S. But the S to the GTS is unique enough and certainly is a load of fun. So if you can afford the GTS, that would be my choice. Gurki Rat says, hi Zach, do you consider doing a face-off between cars? Comparison. Yeah, you know what, it comes down to bodies. So it comes down to I would need more people. So I have to get my wife involved with that, but yeah, it's a good idea. And I travel so much, it's always hard to make the time to do, and I do so many other things you don't see on YouTube that I'm busy doing those as well. So great point. Somebody agrees with me about the diagnosis of the BC government. Tax and spend, the Green DP, hold on to your wallet. The Liberals in Ottawa, they never found a problem they couldn't throw money at. $18 billion deficit when the economy's good. What happens if the economy goes in the crapper? My daughter bought a Mazda CX-5 a few weeks ago, grand touring with performance package. She likes it so far. That's a great product, the CX-5. Elizabeth Long says, hello. I always make fun and say, Elizabeth, you're in the house full of dudes here. So it's nice to have Elizabeth along for the ride. All right, I'm going to take another little video that I want to show you. As I mentioned, I'm bringing to you cars for your consideration. These are cars that you can look at if you're not interested in them, not even in your price point. Share them with friends who may be interested. So earlier I showed you Porsche 993, and this next one is one that I think is a great it's a great first time sort of premium sports car. So here's a car for your consideration. Check this out. Well, today for your consideration, a 2014 Porsche Cayenne. This is a great little car. It's a 2014, which means it has several things going for it. It's the last of the flat six engines. You probably know that Porsche, with the Boxster and the Cayenne, has moved towards turbocharged four cylinders. This is the 2.7 liter flat six doing all the work, and it's a great engine. And I think these last cars are going to be quite collectible. Also, this one's quite rare because it's got a manual transmission. It's in basalt black, and the last of the flat six cars have the latest updates to the outside. If you put this next to the current Boxster and Cayenne, they look quite similar. So you get the upgraded, modern-looking headlamps, you get the larger air intakes down the side of the car, and the larger and more sleek-looking tail lamps on this Cayenne. A mid-engine design, and this one comes with some very nice features, and it's only got 17,000 kilometers. There's a heated steering wheel, 19-inch Cayenne S wheels. You get the bi-xenon lighting package with dynamic lights, leather package on the inside, which gives you the partial leather seats, sport seats that are power operated. You get the premium package. You get a whole bunch of other things like the navigation system, Bluetooth. So this one's really nicely optioned. And there are full records for this car right from day number one. Only 17,000 kilometers. It's a baby. It basically drives like it's brand new. So let's get inside, take it for a spin. Now, as I mentioned, this Cayenne only has 17,000 kilometers on it. It drives like a brand new car. And it's a mid-engine design, so basically the engine is right behind the seats here, and it offers two trunks, one in the front, one in the back, and inside you get to hear, it's just like this beautiful mechanical noise right behind your head that is kind of hard to describe. So it's a 2.7 liter flat six with 275 horsepower. Now it's not the S, but it's no slouch either. You got to remember, this is a small car. So 275 horsepower is a blast to drive. Now Porsche makes wonderfully reliable vehicles, but if you're going to hold a vehicle long term, this is one of the reasons why I suggest this car. Because yes, they've got the new turbocharged four cylinders, but this flat six technology from Porsche has been around for decades. They know how to do it. And if I was going to choose one of these cars to hold long term, the last of the flat six with these body upgrades and this beautiful interior would be the one that I would choose. Plus, it just handles like a dream. So there you go. That is a 2014 Cayenne. And once again, I'm going to be doing these short videos for your consideration. If you want to find out more about that car or the other cars, I'm going to be adding more through the weeks. Go to motormouth.ca, that's my website, and click on the Zach's Picks, and you're going to be able to find those. One other thing, I forgot to mention it earlier, SoundCloud. If you go to SoundCloud and type in Motormouth Canada, follow along, and you can download, basically, it's not basically, it is the audio from these live chats as a podcast. People have been asking about that. I guess when you're in your car, maybe you're taking transit or whatever, and you want something to do while you're on the road or what have you. Yes, SoundCloud and Motormouth Canada. All right, back to the questions. Do you have a list of cars with wireless Apple CarPlay? Not many car reviewers seem to indicate whether a car has it or not. Now, I would disagree with that. I always try to mention when I'm talking about the car if it has Android and Apple, and it's quite easy to do. I've typed this in before. Just go to Google and just type in list of cars with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and it's popped up. And it goes along brands. Like I've mentioned, Kia and Hyundai, you'll find other lists and trends, like all of GM's cars have it and so on. Philippe says, went to the local Honda dealer 2 weeks ago to look at the new Accord, and today they still had the same car on the lot. Don't see a lot on the road as well. Seems like the sedan segment is dead. The same cars on the lot. Well, one of the things is you don't really know what those cars are allocated for. Are they demos? Are they display units? They might not have a lot of stock yet. You got to remember, when you build out a new car, you basically have to sell that car or some stock to every dealership in North America. So that takes a lot of cars to build and ship to every dealership. So they have 3 or 4 or 5. I saw a brand new one driving along the road today, and it is a great car. But you're right. The midsize car segment is not doing that well. There's the Accord and there's the Camry, and then there's everybody else. Mazda 6, I'm going to be test driving the new Mazda 6 soon, which is probably the best car that nobody drives. So stay tuned for that. but I agree with you. It's a dying category. Hey, Zach, do you know if Toyota is planning a refresh of the RAV4? We talked about that already. That is going to be happening at the New York Auto Show in about 2 weeks. I just took up a Porsche Cayenne diesel. Couldn't find any new ones. One near me was a 16 with 17,000 for 54 US dollars. I don't know. I don't follow. I mean, I do follow a little bit the pricing of the US. But yeah, here's the thing is all of those cars that were new, that were not being used, were all kind of picked up really quickly. In Canada, there's literally going to be just a few dozen Audis, Volkswagens, and Porsches with the 3-liter diesel engine. These two cars have the 3-liter diesel engine that are going to get scooped up quickly. So yeah, if you want a brand new one with the full warranty and it's never been registered, those are going to be very hard to find. A lot of dealers, because they had these cars and they're very useful, they put them in as service loaners. So they couldn't sell them for 2 years, but they could use them inside the dealer exclusively for people to drive and use when their car was getting serviced. So a lot of the ones you're seeing now, maybe that one was a service loaner. What's the best approach in dealing with service department when they tell you they can't figure out what the issue is with your car? Okay, here's one thing to do. If it's a chronic problem with your car and they can't figure it out, what they don't tell you is that there are experts that are regional, okay, that go around to all of the, say it's Honda or Ford or whomever. They have a local expert, like a master tech, that will go and help them diagnose the hard cars, okay? So go back to your dealer and say to them, are you going to have one of your regional supervisor techs coming in to look at some of your problematic cars? And they might look at you and go, how do you know about that? So find out about that, ask that question, and see if you can get somebody from, this is somebody from the manufacturer, not just the dealer, that can come in and help diagnose the car. So start with that first. Brian says, longtime follower, I'm in the market for a new vehicle, possibly a smaller SUV. With your recent winter driving events with Subaru and Volkswagen, who do you think has the better all-wheel drive system? Well, Subaru owners are going to say automatically, Subaru's got the best all-wheel drive system. But I was pretty impressed with the 4Motion, all-wheel drive in the Volkswagens. Subaru is known for its all-wheel drive. Here's the thing, both systems are going to do wonderfully for you. Subaru has the advantage to split the torque left to right, not just front to back. The Volkswagen is a little bit more limited in that way, but I would suggest they're all going to be fine, and it really, really, really comes down to winter tires. So even a car with just front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive with winter tires is still going to be the better choice. So either one of them, but please invest in a good set of winter tires. Steven says, hey Zach, love your work. I spend $12,000 to $15,000 for should I spend $12,000 to $15,000 premium for an S5 Sportback over an A5 Sportback? Well, you're basically adding another 100 horsepower. Is that important to you? So 252 to 364, I think, are the numbers. So just over 100 horsepower. Now it's going to use more fuel. That's something to consider. Where do you drive this car? Do you drive this car in everyday mundane commuting, bumper-to-bumper traffic? Is that going to be your drive? Well, the turbocharged 6-cylinder might be overkill, and you're saving 12 to 15 grand, as you mentioned, and you're going to save money on fuel. However, if you are motivated by having performance and handling and the more ballsy car, then you have to decide whether that's your decision, whether you think that's worth the money. I think you should drive the A5 with the 252 horsepower engine. I think it's a great product. Peter says, have you heard anything about the new and revamped Honda CRZ? I'm not sure I'm following along. The CRZ, no, but the Insight is coming back. That might be what you're thinking about, the Honda Insight. Hopefully that's your answer. Hey Zach, do you know if Honda will be revamping the HR-V? It looks kind of lame and not so edgy. I'm looking for something that has ride height but not as big as a CR-V. My wife has one of those. I'm just trying to do the numbers on it. The HR-V, it's been 2 or 3 years. So yeah, if anything, it's maybe within the next year. It's about 4 years for a facelift. So yeah, I would say they're going to do something to it, but it's not going to be that impressive. Here's the car to look at. The Honda Fit was recently given a facelift, and they have the Honda Fit Sport. I haven't driven it yet, but everybody says it's a riot to drive. So that is something to consider. That might be a kind of a fun car to drive. It's not all-wheel drive, but the Fit and the HR-V are built on the same platform. So if you're not totally needing all-wheel drive and the HR-V is sold without all-wheel drive, consider that car. But if it's ride height, back to my point earlier, the Subaru Crosstrek has a higher ride height than the Honda CR-V for going over bumps and things. So check that one out as well. Nick the man says, "Hi Zach, my dad said for my first car budget is $45,000 to $50,000. Who the hell is giving you $45,000 to $50,000? Which cars would you recommend for $50,000? Well, what kind of cars are you thinking about? Are you thinking about a car, a sedan, a hatchback, a coupe? What kind of car? I need more info. More info, please." 3232E's Bricks, I don't know what that means. What entry-level luxury sedans would you consider in terms of driving dynamics? Now, that's a little more specific. So I would say back to my Audi A4 and Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Also, the Q50 from Infiniti is not that quick, but isn't a bad handling car. Apparently the subcompact, very small SUVs by Toyota, Honda, and Mazda depreciate quickly and don't get great reviews. Why buy one when you could have a bigger, more reliable compact SUV for a bit more? Well, I think everything is kind of subjective. Cars depreciate. Here's the news flash. You buy a car, it's going down in value. There's very, very, very few cars that actually hold their value particularly well. And all they're doing is slowing the depreciation. You can go to CanadianBlackBook.com and you can click on a model and look at its forecasted depreciation. Now these are pretty accurate because Canadian Black Book, along with some other guides, help the car companies establish their lease residual values. So they have to kind of predict where the car is going to be in 3 or 4 years in order to write leases for people. So go to CanadianBlackBook.com, click on those cars you're talking about, and look at their predicted residual value. So that's something to consider for anybody, for any car. Have you ever created a content related to financing or leasing? Yes, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I have to get on this. I mean, where's my book? I wrote a book, and there was a whole chapter about leasing versus financing, and I'm a big advocate of leasing. There's a bunch of different reasons why, but I can get into that when it's time to do it. But yes, thanks for reminding me. Got to get on that. Hey Zach, what are your thoughts? 1997 Mercedes SL 320 or an SL 500 as a secondary summer cruiser around town. Do you think this car can appreciate in value with time? Now, you might not agree with me in terms of the shape of the car, but the car I would choose would be the very last year of the previous design. That was the car that really started in the early 70s and went right up to 1989. So that was the SL 560, okay? So the last year was 1989 SL 560. That car and that design of Mercedes SL, I do believe will appreciate in value. The cars that you're talking about from the 90s, they're really kind of wedgy looking ones, might take longer to appreciate. So consider one of those. Have a look for an SL 560 from 1989, or maybe a few years older than that. But of those, I would think, of the ones you're referencing, I would say the 500. Dwayne says, hey Zach, I've been working with my father-in-law on his project at the Automotive Center of Excellence in Oshawa the past few days. Have you had an opportunity to see this facility? Is that, Dwayne, I'm not sure, is that the new high-tech center that they opened with General Motors? That they're going to be doing all of the advanced technology? Here's one thing a lot of people don't know. Canada is the lead on autonomous vehicle technology and development, the engineering in Canada for General Motors. General Motors is one of the biggest car companies in the world, and they're putting a lot of weight on autonomous. You might have seen recently that Chevrolet with the Bolt are going to actually start producing cars without steering wheels. These are obviously test units, but Canada is going to be making the lead on that. So Dwayne, if that's what you're talking about, I haven't been, but I've heard about it. And Steve Carlisle, the president of General Motors, and I have chatted at the Detroit show about just how important the GM Canada facility is going to be to the company. Michael says, what's your opinion of the 2018 Subaru Forester with a manual transmission? Now, here's one of the things about the Forester with a manual transmission. It locks the torque of the all-wheel drive system 50% to the front and 50% to the rear. So you don't get that dynamic system of shifting the torque from front to back, side to side, like you do with the CVT-equipped Forester. But that's kind of what makes it cool. I mean, if you're a manual transmission kind of person and you want that size, like a compact utility, it's a great choice. I have no issue with it, but that is something to consider, so check it out. I find the base model Forester a little bit noisy. Hopefully they're going to address that with the new updates that are coming. So if you're not in a rush, they're going to be showing the updated Forester at the New York Auto Show in 2 weeks, and it hopefully will be coming this fall. So if you're not in a rush, maybe we'll find out more about it then. Larry Green says, longtime follower, saw and sat in the G70 at the Calgary Auto Show. Very nice, but definitely limited room in the back seat. Yes, so very similar to the Stinger. Can't wait to drive that car. I agree with you. Zach, have you driven the new X2? No, but I'm scheduled to get it. It hasn't arrived in the fleet here on the West Coast yet, but I'm in communication with them. But it'll be similar to the X2. So you see, X1 is the regular utility, X2 is the sportier one. X3 is the regular utility, X4 is the sportier looking one, and on through the BMW Cadence. So they're very similar underneath, so one drives the same as the other, just has a different look. All right, so a couple of things I want to do is remind everybody that I'm not going to be here next week because it's spring break on the West Coast and I'm heading to California with the family. So no live chat next week. I'll pick it up the week after. And all along the bottom here, you have the ways to follow the channel and myself. So here's the thing is I kind of look at the channel, it's not really about me, it's about the products and the information. Some other channels, it's about the characters, and I'm not kind of going down that route. Some people, you know, like it's all character driven. I just want to give good information and hopefully a little bit of an education in these live chats. So follow along on Instagram and Facebook and get some information. Dave's back asking, I wonder if the Stinger Genesis Ram would be on par with those luxury cars. Laminated glass, the cabin insulation. Okay, yes. Here's the thing: when you're looking, you're talking about the Stinger and the G70 and the Ram. Ram has acoustic glass in the side windows and the front windshield. This thing has active noise cancellation and vibration, automatic vibration reduction. So that is amazing. And I watched the review. It just went up yesterday on the channel of the new Ram 1500. It rivals pretty much a luxury car for drive and comfort on the inside. And yes, those two Korean cars you mentioned, they are throwing everything at it. And somebody asked me last week, you know, about Korean cars, and I think their mission that's driving them is to outdo everybody else. It's kind of like you know, inferiority complex or short man syndrome, the Napoleon syndrome. The Koreans seem to have that, and they're doing everything they can to dominate, whether it's electronics, and it certainly is with cars. So they are throwing all kinds of things like that at their cars. Alpha says, would you recommend a new Mustang as a year-round vehicle in Southern Ontario with snow tires? Now, I just moments ago said, yes, you can get through a winter in a car, front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive with good quality winter tires. However, you're not going to be as capable as an all-wheel drive vehicle for getting going and maybe getting stuck. Other thing you got to remember is the Mustang's quite low, and deeper snow, it's going to be an issue. But yes, it can be done. When I was a kid growing up, all of the cars were two-wheel drive. Very few four-wheel drive cars, and we all survived. I grew up in Toronto, and nobody used winter tires back then. So yeah, it can be done. If you had a $25,000 limit on a new vehicle, what would you get? Like Volkswagen. Well, that's a good choice. I did a video just a week ago on, is the Volkswagen Golf a good first car? So watch that video. The other vehicles I would encourage you to check out for a first car for around that price are really all the compact cars. So the Volkswagen, the Mazda 3, the Honda Civic, even the Corolla is a great first car if you're just looking for durability and good transportation. Another one is that a lot of people don't consider is the Chevy Cruze. So go out there and test drive them. There's going to be lots to choose from on the dealer lot. So have at it. What's your reliability? What's your opinion on reliability of German vehicles? I've been considering a Golf or GTI, but there's been a lot of mixed opinions. Okay, so if this was 5 to 10 years ago, I would have said absolutely, it is a consideration. But Volkswagen has improved, and you see that in the quality scores. They're improving year after year. And I have asked the question directly to Volkswagen Canada and said, are you improving the quality of your cars? And the answer is their internal metric for seeing how well they're doing on warranty is warranty spent. So they're seeing the amount they're spending on warranty drop year after year, which basically is telling them that there is less cars coming back with warranty issues. Now, no car company is perfect, and Volkswagen still isn't above average like some other brands, but they are improving. So take that for what it is. But yes, I think the brand is definitely improving. Francois says, greetings from Montreal. Thanks for the great content. Best used hatchback for a student. Best used hatchback for a student. Now I'm trying to think of, see, the thing is there were a lot of hatchbacks for a while. I'm thinking of used. If you're looking for cheapy cheap, a Hyundai Accent or a Kia Rio would be good choices. A Honda Fit, if you're looking at that size, is an excellent car. If you're looking a little bit bigger, I would look at not a Ford Focus, not an older Golf, as I just mentioned. And maybe if it's not that old, the last few years, you might want to look at a Honda Civic. So if you can specify a little bit, let me know. Cause Box says, hey Zach, first of all, thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. I'm looking at getting an 18 Ford Mustang GT or a 16 Ford GT350 for about the same price. Which one and why? Well, here's the thing. The GT350 has the flat plane crank and that beautiful engine. But one of the compelling reasons to get the GT350 over the regular Mustang in the past was the fact that it had magnetic ride control, or MagnoRide is what Ford calls it. That is now available in the Mustang GT. Also, they have upped the output of the GT engine to 460 horsepower now. So if you can't have fun with a Mustang GT with the performance pack, you can't have fun. Now, that being said, I believe that the GT350 will hold its value better. So if you're going to drive this car for 3 or 4 years and then move it on, a GT350 is going to be a scarce beast in the wild, and anybody that wants one is going to have to pay a premium to get it. So if those are your choices, I say based on practicality, get the GT350. You'll have a hell of a great time and great sound and better resale value. Mike says, when are you going to drive the Nissan Kicks? I have to get in touch with Nissan and find out. They will send me an invite to go to the launch of that. I'm not sure when it is, but it hasn't been announced yet, but stay tuned for that. Somebody just wrote back, thanks for your reply. Joked about the fast ferries of the previous NDP government when the current Green DP took power. Do you follow car programming like Mighty Car Mods, the Grand Tour, etc.? As I mentioned earlier, I don't do a lot of, I don't follow a lot of other reviewers because I want to form my own opinion. So the quick answer to that is no, I do not. Would you recommend, so I was talking earlier, if you're just joining me, about our local government here on the West Coast and how the Green DP is going to spend and spend and we are going to pay and pay. You'll start to learn my politics if you watch these more often. Would you recommend a 2018 Santa Fe or Tucson? The Santa Fe is coming out soon with an updated model. So if you're not in a rush, hold your powder, because as the new cars are coming and you can get a chance to drive the what will be the 2019, you'll see whether it's worth it to get the newest or the latest. But the good news is those 18s that are on the dealer lot are probably going to be discounted. So if you're not in a rush, wait till the new ones are just arriving at the dealers, get a chance to drive it, or wait until I get a chance to drive it, and then decide for yourself if you want the newest or the greatest, or you want a deal. So if you want a great deal, you might be able to get an 18. So yeah, and the Tucson's fine too, but of those two, I prefer the Santa Fe. Hey, Zach from New York City. Awesome. Owned 3 Porsches. Last one was an 09 911 C2. Miss it very much. Hope to get a 997.2 turbo one day. Love your show and your watches. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I have a little watch fetish as well. What's your take on the GLA 45? GLA 45, there's another rare beast in the wild. A lot of people didn't spend the money to get that. What was the horsepower on that? I'm trying to remember. 355 horsepower, something crazy like that. But yeah, it's a cool car. It's kind of small. That's the only thing for me. So see if you can find. Actually, if you go and see my winter driving, I did the Mercedes AMJ winter driving program last year in Winnipeg, and we had the CLA 45 out on the ice. Same engine, same drivetrain. It's just a different configuration. I think it's a load of fun to drive, but it doesn't really light my fire. 09 C2. Once again, if you want to go to my website, motormouth.ca, I tell you what I'm going to do. Why don't I just do this? This is going to be easier. You had an 09 C2. Well, here we go. Here's another quick video on a 2011 C2S. This is a 2011 Porsche 911, not any 911. This is a Carrera S, which means it gets more power, and a quite rare thing nowadays, a manual transmission. As more people are moving to a PDK, a manual is still the purest way to drive a Carrera, and a rear-wheel drive Carrera is the purest of the bunch. The one we have here is in Carrera white with Carrera natural red, full leather interior, upgraded 19-inch wheels, and those big, beautiful red turbo brakes. So this is a local Vancouver car with just 61,000 kilometers. And if you're looking for a 997, that's the model of Porsche this is, you want to look for a 2009 and newer. So this is an 11. What you get is you get direct injection for the engine. You also get the upgraded head unit, which includes Bluetooth. Believe it or not, Porsche didn't include Bluetooth until 2009. And you get the graphics if you plug in your iPod. So let's get inside and take it for a drive. So the purest 911 is rear-wheel drive, and then you add in the layer of this being an S, bumps the power up from a 3.8 liter flat six to 385 horsepower, which gives you the raw sensation, especially when you have a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, there is certainly nothing wrong with the Tiptronic or PDK 911s, but a manual really is special. This one has the GT3 Alcantara steering wheel and shifter. And look at this interior in red, especially contrasting with the Carrera white. It certainly pops. These cars are kind of in the sweet spot now. The 997s with the direct injection engines are the ones that I'm telling people to go out and buy, because they've depreciated to a certain level, but they're modern enough that they're going to be really quite reliable. So this car is for your consideration. It's got just 61,000 kilometers, and the price in Canadian dollars is $75,000. Beautiful car. All right, that's another car for your consideration. Once again, go to my website, motormouth.ca, click on Zach's Picks. I'm working with a friend of mine. We're sort of hand-picking these cars for you to look at. If you're not interested, pass them along to somebody else. But, you know, a lot of people are asking me for advice on cars, and so we're going to be presenting some cars to you, and take them for what you will. But hopefully you'll check them out. All right, back to the question. Dallas, this is Andrew from Dallas, formerly from Montreal. Why doesn't Mazda offer a turbo in the Mazda 3 anymore to compete with the turbo? He says he likes the handling but not enough power. They used to have the Mazda Speed 3. Now they have that beautiful turbo engine they're using in the CX-9 and also going to be used in the new Mazda 6. So let's hope they do a Mazda Speed 3. That would be great. It's been a long time since we've had one of those cars, and yeah, I agree with you. One thing I think Mazda could work on with their Skyactiv engines with that particular model is sound insulation. That harder acceleration gets a little bit noisy. Jai writes back, my first Porsche was an 08 Cayman S. Loved it, but honestly had more fun in an S2. more raw, but the Cayman was amazing nonetheless as a premium sports car. Good to hear. Somebody just wrote back, so we're getting into politics now. Ontario Liberals love to spend taxpayer dollars. Oh yeah. Dwayne writes back and says, I have a 15 Cayman S. Nice. David Cloud says, I wonder if you need to buy a 911 to get the full Porsche experience, or Cayman would be pretty amazing as well. I totally disagree that you have to buy a 911. This is the Porsche snobbery, and it's all a pile of crap. And I've owned, now onto my 4th Porsche, I've owned 2 911s, and I have been to countless Porsche events, thanks to Porsche Canada, on the racetrack. I'm here to tell you, I think that a Cayman or a Boxster, especially if you can make the reach for an S, is much better and more fun than a base model Carrera. Unless you're going to get a Carrera S or higher, get a Boxster or a Cayman. So that snob factor, that hierarchy, that Porsche appeal, that ladder they try to get everybody to walk up, is all a pile of nonsense. If you can't have fun in a Porsche or a Cayman, you're not living. And the nice thing about those entry-level cars is they force you to be a better driver. The better a driver you are, the more you can get out of those cars, because they don't have as much power. So you got to work matching revs, downshifting, heel and toe, all that stuff. It's so much fun. And I have always said to anybody, you owe it to yourself. If you've ever thought of owning a Porsche, and most people who are car enthusiasts have, you need to own one at least once in your life. Well, I had just realized that I've been chatting too much here. Once again, follow along with everything that we have set up, whether it's Instagram, what have you. And I'm going away on vacation for a week with the family, so looking forward to that. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thanks to everybody that takes part in these. I really do appreciate it. Once again, there's going to be on SoundCloud a podcast version, the audio of these. I'll put that up in a day or so. Thanks to everybody, and I'll chat to you soon.